welcome back to my channel. I'm Tati and today I am going to be doing my June wrap-up. June was a month of many records broken, I guess you could say. First, I finished my Goodreads reading challenge. I had set myself up for 50 books this year, which I completed. I have read 50 books. I think right now, as of filming this, it is July 22nd when I am filming this. I am right now, I think, at 59 books read this year. So definitely finished the challenge and surpassing it as I did last year. I also finished the challenge early last year. Last year I'd set myself up for 30 books in 1 year and I had read 30 books by June as well. The fact that I not only upped my challenge goal this year, but I also finished it in 6 months as well. And that the challenge was more than it was last year, that's all very wild to me, especially because, as you may know, I didn't really read all that much in March and April. It was a very much slump of 2 months, but I finished my reading challenge, and that is all thanks to January, February, and June. Those 3 months came in clutch to finish the reading challenge. Anyway, as last year, I'm not gonna up my reading challenge because my challenge was 50, so I want to see how far away from that I get throughout the rest of the year, so it's gonna stay at 50. I am excited to see what else I read in the next half of the year, but anyway, this is not about that. Other than finishing my Goodreads reading challenge in June, I also surpassed my own personal record of most books read in a month. My previous record was 14 books in 1 month, which I did both in September and October of 2020. And so my new personal best is 16 books in 1 month, and I'm very proud of it. Now, in this here wrap-up, I am going to take you through all of the books that I read in the month of June. If you have watched my Pride Month reading vlog, you will see a lot of those books repeated because I read them for that vlog, and now I am here to wrap them up, okay? Okay, let's get started. The first book that I finished in the month of June was They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. I read this for my Pride Month reading vlog. If you don't know, if you haven't watched that video, which you should, it's a very good video, although it is very, very long, I will admit. The basis of that vlog was that I saw this list of queer books on TikTok and I decided to read all of them because I hadn't read most of them. And so that is what started this entire month-long journey that I did in June, in which I read 9 books, I think, were on the list. 2 of them I ended up reading in May, and then I read the rest in June. This was one of the books that I was reading for that vlog. Like I said, I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. There were some things that I didn't quite like about it, which is why it was a 4-star and not a 5-star. My biggest problem with the book, honestly, was just the narrative format of it. You switch between a lot of POVs, which is a thing I like, but for the 2 main characters, you have first-person POV, and then for everybody else, you have third-person, which it makes switching between characters a little jarring, and switching between the main characters is also a little jarring because even though it says at the beginning of the chapter who's narrating, you can get a little confused, and sometimes you don't know whether it's Mateo or Rufus who is narrating, and it's just very, very confusing, at least for me. And also, with the switching of POVs, everybody else is third person and everybody else is like connected to the story, but some of them are major players in the story, some of them are minor players, and with some of the minor players, I kind of got lost. I didn't always know who they were, especially because some characters we only see their POV like once. And I'm like, who are you? What is your story? I don't know what's going on. So it could be very jarring, and that took me out of the narrative sometimes. But other than that, it was a really good book. I do have to say, kind of a lot of heavy stuff to like chuck in a romance at the end there. But I enjoyed it. The second book I finished in June will surprise no one by my ratings or what feelings I expressed about it. That book was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is my favorite book, if you did not know. I was also reading this for the vlog, so I had an excuse to read it this time as opposed to me just wanting comfort reads. This was my 7th reading of Red, White, and Royal Blue, which, yeah, I know, I understand. It's kind of crazy that I've read this book 7 times, but it's okay, just like let me have this. Anyway, something I accomplished upon finishing my 7th reading of this book is that I finally wrote a big ass, long ass review of Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I'm still sure that I left things out that I should have put in that review, but it is what it is. I have spent the last 2 years thinking about this book, and I think I did a pretty good job of explaining coherently in my review why I love it so much, and I will try to recreate that in this moment. So, reasons why Tati loves this book so much. Number 1, it makes me feel really seen. Number 2, I really enjoy the romance and the characters. Number 4, I thought that the characters were really well constructed and they were all pretty 3-dimensional, which I really enjoyed. Number 5, I relate to both main characters in very different ways. And I think that's good enough for now. I will link down my review of Red, White, and Royal Blue if you want to read it, because I know that I don't speak very coherently about this book, and I have said before that I have a really hard time speaking coherently about the books that I really, really love. So yeah, I think I was pretty good on that review. And also, if you want, you can just go watch the vlog. I think I also gave some pretty concise and coherent points about my love for Red, White, and Royal Blue in that video. So yeah, those are the 2 places you can go to see me speak semi-coherently about this book that I really, really love. Okay, goodbye. Next thing I finished in June was Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. This was also for the vlog. I had no idea what this book was about when I was going in, but boy did I enjoy it so much. This book deals with a lot of things that I was really happy to be seen dealt with on the page. Academic burnout. The main character has just finished her PhD. She's been working toward this for the last 11 years, and she is experiencing massive amounts of academic burnout that she doesn't really know what to do with. She doesn't even really know how to go about getting a job right now because she's just so burnt out and doesn't know what to do with anything. 2, Vegas marriage. In this book, the main character gets married while she's drunk in Vegas to a girl that lives on the other side of the country from her, and it goes from there, and it's quite wonderful, let me tell you. In the book, the main character seeks out therapy, which I freaking loved. I went feral over that because it is very infrequently where you see characters in books actually seek out therapy, and I loved it so much because I believe everybody should go to therapy regardless of whether you have a mental illness or not. Therapy is just good for you, and it helps you deal with your shit in a very healthy way. So I'm very pro therapy in general, and seeing a book character actually seek out therapy was excellent. I love that. Also, another thing that I really liked in this book was that the main character, Grace, had to face her parents and the fraught relationships that she had with them, and also the damage that her parents' expectations had on her and how rigid those expectations were, and like having to deal with all of that was just exquisite. It was just excellent. I really enjoyed this book. Honestly, in general, this entire month was just a really excellent reading month. The 4th book that I finished in June, I took a break from the vlog and read other things. And one of those things was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars. This I read because this is the first book in Mika's favorite series, and she had been hounding me for a while to read it, so I finally got around to it. I do have to admit that my preferred medium for reading this series was the very much cursed audiobooks, proving that I have absolutely no taste. Because I actually quite enjoyed them. I mean, the accents were pretty bad, like, and for some specific characters they were really bad, but I read the entire series in audiobooks, so it is what it is. Okay, let's just move on from that. Anyway, I rated this a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the later books in the series more. I felt really conflicted about this book. I don't know if when I reread it in a little bit, I'll feel differently about it now having the scope of like the entire series. But I felt really conflicted about this book. I was like not sure if I liked it or not. It was kind of like when I first read The Foxhole Court. I wasn't sure whether I enjoyed that book or not, to the point that I gave The Foxhole Court like a 2.5 stars because I was like, it's not as bad as like, and at the time I think I said this in my review, and I don't know if that review is up or not, but at the time I said like, it's not as bad as Call Me By Your Name, but it doesn't quite rise to the level of like, I think I said City of Bones in that review, which is incorrect. City of Bones should be lower. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I was very conflicted about this book in general, which is why I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I was like, I don't know if I hated this or if I love this, but I'm still gonna keep reading. Anyway, I liked the characters. Definitely the characters were my favorite part of the book. The friendships between the 4 boys were really excellent, and they were pretty well constructed, which I really liked. And then adding Blue into the mix of like Yancy, Adam, Ronan, and Noah was a really good element, and I think she balanced them out well. I really enjoyed the friendship aspects of the book. The romance aspects were kind of like, eh. This comes because I already had preconceived notions about the relationships in the series as a whole. I already knew that Ronan and Adam were a thing that was gonna happen eventually. I went into it being like, Blue and Adam, like what the fuck is going on here? I wasn't into the relationship aspect of this book, but it's fine. I was definitely more invested in like being like, wait, isn't Adam supposed to end up with Ronan and Blue with Gansey? And I'm like, wait, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, I didn't really care for the romance aspect of the book, but the friendship aspect of the book was wonderful. Also, I realized that this series is entirely vibes and then a little bit of plot at the end. And I didn't really know what to do with that. I was just like, why is it all just vibes? And then in the last 100 pages, a shit ton of things happened. And then I was like, is this how the entire series is gonna go? I later found out that this is how the entire series goes. It's just vibes and then plot at the end. It was an enjoyable read. I was very conflicted by the end of it. The 5th book that I finished in the month of June was The Priest by Sierra Simone. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, and I have many thoughts about it. So the premise of this book is that this small town priest falls in love with this girl who just moved, and it is forbidden romance. This is one of Sierra Simone's older books. This was published, if I remember correctly, in 2015. If you know, one of my favorite series is the Thornchapel series, which I have like right here. And those were published in 2019, 2020, so they were much more recent. And the growth shows. I had never read one of Sierra Simone's older works. I've read mostly things that she's published from Thornchapel and after, and I really enjoy her works. But Priest was good. I gave it 4 stars, but there was some things that really showed its age and like how much Sierra Simone has grown as a writer. Mainly my biggest gripe was whenever the main character Tyler was like, no, because feminist Tyler, and I'm like, ¿cómo? Perdón. The fact that he like had to refer to like this apparently other part of himself called feminist Tyler was just like, ugh. Like, having read the Thornchapel series, I was like, the men in that series would never. They would never have to explain to the reader that they are feminists, because you know that they are with how they behave. But the fact that this main character just like had to tell the reader like, no, I'm a feminist, I'm like, yeah, no, just because you have a sexual relationship with a woman and you both consent to being this way doesn't mean that you have to explain to me that you're a feminist. Like, I can know without you having to explicitly tell me. If you spend any amount of time on Book Talk, you will see this book, and to Book Talk I say, you have some great things to offer, but for the love of God, figure out that Sierra Simone has other books. Because Priest is good. I enjoyed it as a reading experience, but she has better books than Priest. She has better books than Priest. It's true. Figure it out. There are some better books than Priest to promote out there with a better level of smut, if you ask me. Other than all of that, I actually quite enjoyed the romance aspect of it. I felt it was slightly rushed, but other than that, I kind of enjoyed the Poppy Tyler romance. This read definitely shows that it's some of Sierra Simone's older work, but at the same time, I'm pretty glad I read it because it just makes me love her newer works more. I'm excited to get to Sinner, which is the sequel, and I'm excited to read Saint next year when it comes out. El sexto libro that I finished was The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the 2nd book in the Raven Cycle trilogy, a sequel to the Raven Boys. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it so much more than I did the first one, and I think it's already because I had like a sense of what Stiefvater's writing style was, and also just like how the book was going to be structured in general. Like I said, vibes and then a little bit of plot at the end. I really like that we continue to explore the world in this book. I really enjoy the fact that this series is written in third person. I don't think it would work if it was written in first person point of view. The third person narrative is quite excellent, and I like that it jumps around between the entire cast of characters. I thought that was really well done. At this point in the series, I was hesitant to pick a favorite character in the series, but that if I had to, I definitely would have gone with Adam and Ronan because I enjoyed their story arcs the most, especially Ronan's, because Ronan is a cloud of despair, but this is where you get to see the earlier hints of like him being attracted to Adam and then everything that eventually will lead to their relationship, and you get to start seeing that in this book, which I was really excited by. And I don't know, I just love their dynamic and also their dynamic with their other friends. They are wonderful. Their character arcs are the best, if you ask me, and I really enjoyed them in general. This book also introduced 2 new characters. Mr. Grey, which I quite like. I'm cool with him. He has a good relationship with Blue, and he is a morally great character, which I enjoy. And then it introduces Joseph Kavinsky, vein of my existence. Truly, his accent was the worst in the entire audiobook. I will admit to that. It was atrocious, and I understand why those audiobooks are cursed. I still read them all. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, Kavinsky is the vein of my existence. He gave me the creepiest, weirdest vibes. I hated every single second of it. Anytime that he was on the page, I was like, something bad is gonna happen, and I don't know if I want to find out what it is. That scene towards the end of the book when he and Ronan are alone in the parking garage where Kavinsky keeps all his Mitsubishis, that scene gave me the creeps in such a rapey way. I was just like, this is not good, and I need this scene to be over. I need this interaction in general to be over, which is why when Kavinsky bites it at the end of the book, I was so happy, because I was like, we cannot continue to have this character around. I hate him with every fiber of my being, and every time he is on the page, I get the creeps, so please get him out of here. I hated his character. He was terrible. I do not ever want to see him again. 7th book that I finished in June was Blue Lily Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater. Jesus Christ, this woman, between her name and her book titles, I just get tongue-tied. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I also rated this book a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot more mystery in this book that is presented, and I really enjoyed how they go about solving it, and also Adam and Ronan continuing to figure out their respective powers. That was really fucking cool. They continue to be some of my favorite characters with the best character arcs, if you ask me. There were some kind of out of left field things happening in this book, from Piper Greenmantle just like showing up and like causing all kinds of havoc. It was just fucking funny at that point, and just like some other out of pocket left field things that I was just like, what the fuck is going on in this book? But also I'm having the best time, so you know, there's that. I was really excited to read The Raven King by the time I got to this book. I really enjoyed it. The book Blue Lily Blue, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, I really enjoyed it, but at this point I was just like super excited to get to The Raven King to see what was gonna go down, which is why the 8th book that I finished in June was The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. This one got the coveted 5 stars, my friends. I really loved this book. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. This one was definitely my favorite in the series. You finally get to see like the payoff from 3 books of pining between Adam and Ronan. You get to see that payoff, which was fantastic, and you get to see the resolution of the whole Glendower plotline. I really liked the addition of Henry in this book, although I think he should have been introduced earlier than the Raven King. I would have liked to see him maybe be introduced towards the beginning of Blue Lily Blue, so I could get more time with him and so he could mesh better with the rest of the gang. I really enjoyed Henry as a character. I thought he was so fun, and just like, he's just like having the best time. Henry is the definition of vibes, so he was just great. I'm excited to start the Dreamer trilogy. I already have Call Down the Hawk and the 2nd book in the trilogy here. Like, oh wait, I have them right here. So I'm excited to get to these. really soon. The 9th book I finished this month was Opal by Maggie Stiefvater. I actually listened to the audiobook. It was a quick read. This is a short story, but out of all the short stories that are a part of the series, this was really the only one that I cared to read because it was about Opal, and also Ronan and Adam were included in it, so that's why I wanted to read it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I love getting to see a little bit more of Opal's daily life and of the blossoming of Adam and Ronan's relationship post-canon. That was really good as well, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. The 10th book that I finished was Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. This is where I picked up the vlog back up. I originally paused the vlog because I was trying to see if Volume 4 would get to me. By the time that I had to read Heartstopper, it didn't, which is why I read this one in preparation for getting Volume 4 delivered to my door. Anyway, I really enjoyed this. I've reread it a bunch of times and I love it every time. As usual, 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this book. I've said all I have to say about this book, I think. The 11th book that I finished in June was one of my new favorite reads, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars and I loved it so fucking much that I don't think I can speak coherently about it, but I am going to fucking try. Look, I don't cry at TV shows. I don't cry at movies. Give me a good book and I am a ball of tears. And this book takes the dubious honor of making me cry on 3 separate occasions. I cried 3 times reading this book. And that's just like a tear there, a tear there. No, like ugly sobbing. I could not handle my shit afterwards. Evelyn Hugo is a fucking icon. She is one of my new favorite characters ever. Period. Done. She is fantastic. One of the reasons why I love her so much is because she subscribes to this like kind of gray morality that I really love. She does some shitty things, but she does them to protect the people that she loves, and you know what? I can't fault her for that because she has a good fucking point. The writing was awesome. The plot was great. I just had the best time. The pace was excellent. I was fully into it the entire time. The audiobook was also really great, and it just incited all of the emotions in me. I really fucking love this book. It was just freaking fantastic. Like A+, 10 out of 10. Like, thank you. This was really fucking fantastic. The 12th book that I finished was Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellfleur. I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. And I have several reasons why. One is, as with most books that I read, especially if I haven't chosen them and they're recommended to me, I went in pretty blind. I didn't know what I was signing up for. I just started listening to the audiobook and just made my merry way from there. I have to say, I found out pretty early on while reading that this was a sort of modern day Pride and Prejudice retelling, and I hate those. The only modern day Pride and Prejudice retelling that I enjoy is the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, and it's because it really does embody the source material in a really great way. It modernizes and adapts, but it still keeps like the fundamental core values of the main characters. I really like the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, but other Pride and Prejudice retellings in general I am not a fan of. I've read some of them, I've read excerpts from others, and I've watched a few of them, including Bridget Jones' Diary, and I'm not a fan. I actually hate the Bridget Jones movies. I watched the first one, albeit with a lot of cringing, and I watched about half of the second one and I just could not get through it. I just couldn't. And Pride and Prejudice retellings are not my favorite. And this book also has another trope that I'm not a fan of, which is fake dating. Really, this book was not made for me. It wasn't a great fit for me from the very beginning, from premise to execution. I wasn't about it. I really didn't like it. I found Elle to be kind of ditzy, and I didn't like her at all. And Darcy was also extremely unlikable. She didn't have any of the softness that Pride and Prejudice Darcy has. This book was not for me. I'm sure that it has everything that other people love, but from the Pride and Prejudice retelling to the fake dating, this book was just not meant for me. So for me, it was a 2 out of 5 stars. And also, I found myself bored throughout most of it. I didn't really care about what was going on or Darcy and Elle's relationship. It was a no from me. That was all. The 13th book that I finished in June was One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I really loved this book. I will say, I mentioned it in the vlog and I will mention it here again, that when I read this book, I was in not a great state mentally as towards my mental health. I was kind of feeling very foggy, and I'm starting to feel way better now, thankfully. But I wasn't in like the best mental state when I was reading this, so I don't think even though I really enjoyed it and I love the cast of characters and the found family aspect and the mystery of it all and the sci-fi, I don't think I fully was able to comprehend and appreciate this book as much as I wanted to. So definitely will be reserving thoughts and big emotions for a reread, which I am planning to do soonish. I want to give you all my thoughts and opinions when I read this in like a really clear state of mind. Because this is one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and I really loved it. I love the ending. Everything about it I really loved. I was feeling not great myself when I read it, so I haven't even considered writing a review for it. I'm just like, I'm saving thoughts for later on when I sit down to read this again and I have clearer, more coherent thoughts. But apart from that very long caveat that I just gave, I really loved this book. The relationship was awesome. I really liked the characters. I wasn't really sure about August at the beginning of the book, but she grew on me so quickly. Jane, I don't know if I want to be Jane or date Jane, but either way, I love Jane. I really liked the book. I loved it, and I can't wait to read it when I'm in a better mental state. I read the audiobook in June. My physical copy arrived a few weeks ago in July, and I have a video of me unboxing it because I made a very impulsive purchase of an unplugged book box, and I made a video unboxing it, and it is on my channel. I will link it above. You can go watch it. It is the best time. I had so much fun unboxing this book. Next book that I finished in June was Heartstopper Volume 4. Literally, it arrived a few days after I finished the vlog. But it was fine that it wasn't on the vlog. I really wanted to finish that out before the end of Pride Month, so it was fine. But this arrived and I really loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So this book deals a lot more with Nick and Charlie's relationship. We have passed the coming out stage of their relationship, and now they're like in their relationship, and it deals a lot more with communication, them having to spend a lot of time apart, Charlie's eating disorder, and Nick coming out to his dad. When I say that we'd passed the like coming out stage, I mean like the big like public coming out stage, being out at school and everything, which was dealt with in Volume 3. I really loved this book. As per usual, Alice Oseman handles all her characters with such tenderness and care and love that it makes for a really fantastic read, and as per usual, I love it. The series owns me. I will be rereading this very soon. This was excellent, and I was glad to finally get my hands on it. Okay, so next two things that I finished in June. These are the last two. First, I reread Sanguine by Sarah Simone. I kind of just wanted to go back to it, okay? I really liked it on a first reading, and I really wanted to go at it a second time. This is a short story, so I finished it very quickly. The characters are iconic. Bastien just is a king, an icon amongst men. This is a vampire romance between a vampire and a priest who is, well, an ex-priest slash ex-vampire hunter, and it's just very good, and Bastien is so in love with Aaron, and I love it. I loved it. It was great. 4 out of 5 stars. The last thing that I read in the month of June was File Number 2 by Sylvain Nouvel. This is a short story. It's about 10 pages, and it belongs to the Themis Files series, which I reread the book in July, and I will be talking about in my July wrap up, because I wanted to restart the series because I read the first book in January and I hadn't picked it up again, but I want to actually read the entire series now, so I started with this file. It was about 10 pages, which is why I didn't give it a rating, because it's just, the entire series is told through files, which is why it's called the Themis Files. And this is just meant to be like file number 2. The book starts at like file number 4. So this was just meant to like give you a little bit more context about what's going on in the series. So since there wasn't like that much, I didn't feel the need to rate it. There's no rating for this one. It was like a good setup for me restarting the series. Did I make any sense when I said that? I don't know, but it's fine. We'll go with that. Those have been the 16 books that I read in the month of June. I did a lot of reading. July is going nowhere near that. but I had the best reading time in June. I read so many amazing things that I'm so happy with everything that I read in the month of June, even if some of the books were a little bit hit or miss with me. Anyway, this has been very long, so I'm gonna go now. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed that video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Come yell at me in the comments. I've been Dadi, and I will see you on the next one. Okay, bye.